Welcome, students. We're going to learn about the witch's altar and symbols, and a little bit more about the Book of Shadows and how to use it, and some of the knowledge or base, the pyramid, and then also the cardinal points, and then we'll proceed to learn about magical names. So, almost every witch has an altar. It can be really elaborate or very simple, but it should become the focal point of the daily practice. And I have to say for myself, since I was not a witch until I was 24 years old, and I was raised as a Catholic, it was difficult to do the switch in my mind. And I think it's something that you have to work with yourself, and since we have the liberty to, as witches, we have the liberty to choose what feels more appropriate for you. So for me, the candle and the incense and all that was easier at the beginning, and then I started to get used to other things. So traditionally, you should choose a place for your altar in the center of a room, along of one wall. Traditionally, it is chosen the east or the north, and this can be in a closet, a drawer, or on a shelf. It depends on how open you are to others knowing that you are a witch or not. And you want to find a quiet span of time to set up your altar. And some people change their altar cloth all the time or change it with the seasons. But basic witch's altar usually includes the following items. You can find all these online. And there is, I like to do business with a company called Azure Green. And you can buy all your needs over there. So the symbols of the gods and the goddess, or a statue or picture of each one, or a patron deity is supposed to be there. 2 candlesticks with candles. Normally you want colors that represent what you're asking for, or I like to use lighter candles. Black candles and red candles are for different purposes, so make sure that when you light up a candle and you're doing spell work, that you're using the appropriate color for what you're planning to do. An air symbol, usually in the east. This is an incense burner or a feather. A fire symbol, usually in the south, such as a red candle. A water symbol, usually in the west, such as a seashell or a bit of driftwood. An earth symbol, usually in the north, such as a stone or a crystal. 2 small dishes or bowls holding salt and water, and a fire-making tool. You can have wooden matches, will do for this. And then some of the ritual tools that you need are a pentacle, a wand, a chalice, and an athame. An athame normally could be as a dagger, or an athame is different of a dagger or a knife. Working tools, depending on what you're working on, such as tarot cards, runes, essential oils, or herbs that you might need for a particular magical working. And sometimes you can have your animals present. There are some traditions in which a coyote or a dog is used. And this is just obviously for company. And as you gather objects to represent the elements of your altar, you want to pass each one through incense and smoke and sprinkle it with salt water to cleanse it, and before placing it on the altar with reverence. The objects of your altar may be changed whenever you like. Your altar is pretty much a living thing that changes as the seasons change, or as you often reflect your growth as a witch. You can do some breathing exercises, and you can find breathing exercises in many different books. Pretty much, we're trying to visualize a glowing pentagram radiating all the colors of the rainbow, and inhale the power of life, and then give thanks. So there are chants, there are prayers, there are singing, there's spells, quiet reflection. That is on your own private practice. The elements of the pentagram are the building materials of the universe, so all that we experience can be understood as being of earth, air, fire, water, or spirit in some blend of these. Now, would you think that as a witch, and I get a lot of these questions sometimes, so I'm not gonna have to buy a pointy hat or broom or a cauldron or a black cat? Well, sadly, window dressing is sadly stereotypical. Some people might think that you need to buy a wand like Harry Potter, although a wand is part of the modern witch's toolbox. If you're in psychology or in healing or hypnotherapy, you might even use a wand for, sigil therapy. So that would be, I don't know if you ever heard of sigil therapy, but it can be used for that also. So there's a saying that an adept has the use of everything but is dependent on nothing. And we will amend this by saying that the witch is dependent on nothing outside him or herself, but what it is inside that the witch is vital. Some of the internal qualities of a witch are those attributes of self that define the witch. So let's start with, I wanted to begin with the witch's pyramid to embody the attributes of self that define a witch. This is a neat encapsulation of what it means to be a witch and to do magic, and it is couched in the following rhyme. Knowledge as a base of a stone, will to call the within my own. Imagination helps to see, faith to know that it will be. Silence knows what's best to hide, love will fill the space inside. A spirit binds them all as one, now the magic has begun. The base of the pyramid is knowledge. The inside is love, and the four sides correspond to air, fire, water, and earth. Each of these four elements has a corresponding witchy tool associated with it, and so does knowledge. There is no tool that is associated with love, but ideally all of witch's actions flow from the heart and love, so a separate tool is hardly necessary. We will begin with the pyramid's base and then go around the sides in the order that they are most often used in performing magic. E is for air or imagination, then south for fire and will, west for water and silence, and north for earth and faith, and finally followed by love at the center. We cover a spirit in the last module. The base of the witch's pyramid is knowledge. Knowledge from this course, other books, teachers' nature, your own experiences, the internet, your group, your coven, anywhere that you gain knowledge about yourself and other people in the world around you, because witchcraft will take you anywhere. When and who you can imagine, the witch needs to be well read, with a variety of interests and curiosity to know more and more and more. So to become a witch, begin by taking an inventory of your knowledge. What is your background, and more importantly, what have you learned along the way by yourself and others? You can always write this on your books of shadows. Now I wanted to tell you, before we proceed to talk more about the pyramid and the book of shadows, about something called the witch's alphabet. This is a magical alphabet popular in the craft, and is called Theban script, or the runes of Honorius. It was first published in 1518 in a book called Polygraphia by Johannes Trithemius. He suggested that it was created by a legendary magician, Honorius of Thebes. Today it is used by some witches for the books of shadows, as a simple cipher to protect their material from any curious muggle. Some of the fantasy Elvis alphabets look vaguely similar and may have been based on 7. I just wanted to let you know. And remember, some of the witches' tools and meaning, we talk about east, south, west, and north. North is the strongest. East normally comes next, and then south and west. And some of the tools that go with the cardinal direction. Following east with imagination. So once you got a good start on your base of knowledge and the willingness to continue learning through life, you can begin to build the size of your pyramid. And you can imagine something, we believe you can attain it. Imagination is the first step in creation and the first step in magic. Imagination and inspiration are closely linked, and it's rare to find one without the other. Inspiration comes from dreams, daydreams, and things that you see, hear, or feel, and it is that sudden light or spark that you wonder, oh, I wonder what will happen if I do this. So what do you want? Then imagine to have it. The tool most often associated with air is the athame, a black-handled, double-edged knife that is used to cut through non-physical energies. It is considered an air tool partly because air is the realm of the intellect and the imagination, and the athame can cut through illusion to get to the truth. The athame helps cut through the fibs we tell ourselves and the webs of misinformation in which others want to spin us. The athame is either worn in a sheath or plate on the east side of the altar. Let's go south. South, which is the second side of the pyramid, is fire, and this is corresponding to south and will. Will, perhaps the most complex side of the pyramid, because will can have many meanings. We're going to discuss later on the wiccan Rede that says, and ye harm none, do as ye will. In that case, will means your true will, not just a whim. However, in the context of the witch's pyramid, the will means concentrated focus, a single-mindedness that will get you to your goal. To be a witch, you must be able to focus on one thing until you have made it your own. This also implies daring and courage. Witches may change happen in conformity with will, and therefore witches live with change as a constant. Sometimes change can be scary, especially changes in yourself. Yet most witches are on a path of self-transformation to become the best they can be. To make internal changes, we do what is known as shadow work. The word shadow work, I find out, it is misunderstood and misinterpreted. So don't misinterpret the word shadow work. Shadow work means that we go within to find those parts of us that holds us back, that keeps us from growing, our emotional baggage, negative thoughts, and past traumas. These are scary things to confront, and our will plays a large part in reclaiming their power. However, our imagination is fired by will, and its energy and passion brings us to a whole new way of living. Living your true will feels right in your gut, a dantian or solar plexus. A sign that you're pursuing your true will is that obstacles melt away and allies and resources appear. The tool associated with fire will is the wand. The wand is placed on the south side of the altar. West, it is silence and chalice. The third step in creation and the third side of the witch's pyramid is silence. Silence is the element of water. Being a witch is not something you always want to broadcast. Be wary about telling just anyone. Do they know? Why? What will you gain or lose by telling them? Before blurting it out, you might want to write in your book of shadows answering the 3 questions posed here. Silence also relates to the old saying about having 2 ears and 1 mouth because listening is twice as important as speaking. Remember, silence knows what's best to hide. Awareness of your surroundings is important, and knowing how to know the people around you is a source of knowledge. Another aspect of silence is the ability to enter the silence within. To become a witch, learn to listen to the still, small voice within, also called your inner bell. The kind of listening to ancestors, spirits, devas, fairy folk, animals, and rocks, etc. Silence corresponds to the element of water, and the corresponding tool is the cup of chalice. The chalice also corresponds with the womb or source of creation. The chalice is placed on the west side of the altar and may hold either water or another beverage you have chosen for your ritual. Another set of tools corresponds to both water and earth. These are the salt and water bowls on your altar, which are contained in small dishes in which pure water and sea salt are kept from asperging or cleansing your ritual space before beginning the ritual. The usual place for them is in the northwest part of your altar, with the water dish closer to the west and the salt dish closer to the north. Since we touched on the magic wand, I wanted to tell you where it comes from. The wand is the most popular tool of any storybook magician. Real witches do use wands, but they don't have all the powers or special effects of Harry Potter does. Traditional wands are made from fruit wood, such as apple, or one of the old sacred trees such as oak, willow, or holly, but they might be made from metal, crystal, or almost anything you can imagine. Wands come in many styles and sizes, but most witches are happy with a natural stick, about 12 to 18 inches long, the length from your elbow to the tip of your middle finger. North. Faith and Pentacle is our last one. The last side of the pyramid. The side of earth in faith. For many this side is difficult, for faith can be demanded or conjured, though it might be inborn or result from repeated experiences that strengthen your faith. Faith can be described as an inner knowing that is not supported by fact, usually with a good connotation of strength. We speak of having faith in something, so what do you have faith in? What can you begin to build in strength within you? And start by having faith in easier things. For example, your dog's love for you, the knowledge that spring will come again, and then move to larger things, your partner's love, the laws of nature, the existence of gods, goddess, god, deity, or divine energy, whatever it is. Faith in earth herself and faith in yourself, faith that all things are connected and that magic works and that you can do magic. The tool associated with the north, the element of earth and faith, is the pentacle. It is a magical shield carved into wood, made of metal, or form of fire clay. Why is the pentagram or pentacle a symbol of earth? The modern answer is that it is often used on the altar as a paten or plate from which the cakes are served, and the cakes are the bounty of earth. Another reason the pentacle stands for earth is that the pentacle is the physical manifestation of the pentagram, which represents the totality of this world we live in, and the element of earth is all about all things of the physical world, such as rocks, plants, animals, and all things material and solid, as well as health, abundance, and strength. According to lore, witches made their pentacles of wax during the burning time so they could be thrown in the fire if the Inquisition came calling. The pentacle is placed on the north part of your altar. Thank you so much for learning about the pentacle, the pentagram, and the witch's pyramid. I see you in the next module, in which we're going to start talking about how about loving and the interior of love.